Curtis Winters, and this is Improv Pathways, Lesson 1. Now I want to point out that all of the recordings can be downloaded from improvpathways.com. You click on the Members tab, and then you input the password that is on page 1 of your book. It's on page 1 of your book or page 3 of the PDF if you're using a computer screen. So we're on page 3, Lesson 1, and let's go ahead and talk about the vocabulary in Lesson 1. First of all, we have a scale which is a set of ascending and descending notes that are in a step-by-step pattern, okay, like this. Go ahead and play along with me. This is the first note of the scale. Next. 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 Now that would be called a major scale, okay, major scale. And in our jazz band, we'll call it the concert B-flat major scale. Now the pattern is something that is a short melody using specific scale tones, okay? So it doesn't just go all the way up and all the way down. The pattern is something that's more melodic, okay? Like this. In your book, you'll see this. Okay, you want to try it with me? 1, 2, 3. One more time. Now, if you can play that easily, that means you are good at reading standard musical notation. So on this page now, you'll see several different types of musical notation besides our Western European music notation. Music notation is simply a system for representing musical sound on a page, on paper, okay, with written symbols. So you'll see the Tibetan chant notation. How's that look, huh? The Gregorian chant, this is what led into the 5 lines and 4 spaces of a staff. You'll notice Gregorian chant only has 4 lines. Then you'll see in the middle standard musical notation. Hopefully you're familiar with that. If not, it's okay. This book mostly uses scale tones, and so you don't have to read musically well to learn to improvise. You do have to read music well to play the songs that are in this book. Then you'll see some guitar tablature, or it's called tab for short. A lot of guitar players around the world learn to play guitar songs by looking at that kind of notation. And then there's the scale tone notation. Now this is something I invented, okay? It's not standard all over the world or in the United States or anything. But I call it scale tone notation because it shows you which note of the scale you're playing. On the scale tone notation there, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, well, flat 7, 6, 5. Okay, now flat 7 is the 7th note of the major scale, but down a half step. It's flatted, okay? So that pattern in scale tone notation would be played like this. Okay, and that's one of the patterns we might learn later in this book. So now that we've talked about that notation, let's go ahead and get into patterns level 1. Now we're going to use scale tones 1, 2, and 3. That's it, just 3 notes. So right there in the middle of the page, you'll see the 3 notes we're using for patterns level 1. Now, if you're not sure how to figure these notes out, then you might need to talk to someone who's good at reading music so you can figure out these first 3 notes. But it's just the first 2 notes of the concert B-flat scale. For trombone, it's this. That's really tricky on trombone because 1, 2, 3 is not first position, second position, third position. No, it's the first 3 notes of the concert B-flat major scale, which is B-flat in first position, C in 6th position, and then D in 4th position, okay? For piano, you'll be playing B-flat C, D on the keyboard. For alto sax and Bari Sax, you'll be playing G, A, B. So you're gonna start with 3 fingers down, and then the 2 fingers, and then 1 finger for the B. For tenor sax, you'll be playing C, middle finger C, and then D with all the fingers and the thumb, and then E with that last finger lifted. For trumpet, you'll be playing C, D, E, okay? Open, 1 and 3, 1 and 2. Now, how about some instruction for the drummers here? Drummers, you're gonna play along just like everyone else in the band, but instead of worrying about the pitch, you're just gonna worry about the rhythm, okay? So here's the most basic way for you to do the call and response. You hear this, da, do, da, you're gonna play on the snare drum, or da, do, da, tom-tom, or thirdly, da, do, da, use the bass pedal with your right foot. Let me try another one. Da, 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 do, da. Okay, or play the rhythm on these three things. Now, if you want to be extra cool, there's two things you can do to be extra, extra cool as a drummer, okay? First of all, you can, in one pattern, you can use two different drums, like, hear that? Da, 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 do, da. Okay, you can do something like that. Number two, you can keep the right cymbal quarter notes like this. Da, 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 do, da. Ooh, see how I did that? You keep the quarter notes going on the right cymbal, ding, 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 while you play the rhythm with your left hand or the bass pedal. Okay, let me try that again. Da, 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 do, da. Ooh, how'd I do? That's kind of tricky. It's kind of hard to do. I hope you can do it on your first try. If so, you're awesome. If not, keep practicing until you can. For guitar, you'll see on guitar the notes written out on the strings. And that brings me to the at-a-glance fingering charts. At the end of the book, you'll see a whole page of at-a-glance fingering charts. Now, you don't have to use these, but for some of you, it'll be really helpful to see which notes you're playing on your instrument. Some of you will look at these and say, that doesn't make any sense. I'm just going to read the notes off of the staff, the treble clef and bass clef. And that's fine, whatever you prefer, okay? But you can use those if you want to. And for guitar players and bass players in particular, the at-a-glance fingering charts will be very, very helpful because it not only shows you which string and which fret you play, but it also shows you which finger is recommended that you use to play each note of the patterns and each note of the scale. So get ready to play those first three notes, and you're gonna hear it played, and then you're gonna play it back. Now, your teacher may prefer to have you listen and sing, listen, sing, and then listen, play, listen, play. Each pattern will be played 4 times. You'll hear it sung twice and played twice. You can, so you can do singing and playing, or I just have my students go ahead and play it all 4 times. So, but they get to hear it twice with the voice, da, do, wah, and then they get to hear it twice played with an instrument, okay? So get ready to play, and here is patterns number 1. I hope you can figure this out. I hope you can hear and play the notes that you hear. Now, if you can't figure out these notes just by listening and then figure them out on your instrument, then you can turn to page 27, and you'll see there each of the patterns that are going to be played, and it'll show them in scale tone notation. So it'll say, for example, 1, 2, 3, then you know kind of what to expect. First note, second note of the scale, third note of the scale. So I'll give you time to flip there if you want to look at page 27 right now. And here is patterns level 1. Ready? Here we go. Listen first.
Da do ah, da do ah.
Da 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 do da. Da 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 do da.
Da da do da do da. Da da do da do da.
Da do wah. Da do wah.
Da da do da do da. Da da do da do da.
Da 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 do da. Da 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 do da.
Now, it's okay if you didn't get every pattern on your first try. The point is you're going to practice this over and over again. Do it 2 or 3 times a day, then do it again on the next day and on the next day. And eventually you will memorize these patterns, not so much in your head, you'll memorize them here with your fingers, okay? And that's the point, is to memorize these patterns, to internalize them, to get perfect muscle memory of these patterns. And then anytime you think of these patterns in your head, you're like, I want to play da do ba do da, then you can play it da do da because it's in your muscle memory. Your brain can reproduce it without even thinking at all, automatically. So let's go to the bottom of the page now, where we're going to talk about one of the strategies for improvising. This is number 1, musical conversation. Now, when you're talking to a friend, you just say the things that come to your mind. You don't read a script. You don't read off of a page. You just say the things that come into your mind. It's a conversation. So we're going to see if we can have a musical conversation now with our instruments instead of with our voices. Because improvising on your instrument should be like just having a conversation. Now, if you're in a classroom setting, then you can stop the video here and your teacher can divide you up into pairs, 2 of you together, and one of you will play something. Just use these 3 notes. That's it. We're only going to use 3 notes. And you can have a conversation. One person plays something like, and then the other person plays something like, okay, and you're just going to go back and forth. Just use those 3 notes and just talk with music. Just say something with these 3 notes. So first you're going to do just the first note of the scale. And then you're going to, after you've done that for a while, you're going to go ahead and do scale tone 3 instead. So we got 1 and then 3. And then you're going to have a conversation using all 3 notes. If you're at home alone, then I'm going to play CD1, track 1, and you can have a conversation with the recording. So this is it for lesson 1. Here we go with the recording, or have a good time talking with other people in your class. Improvising pathway 1, musical conversation. When you're talking to a friend, you simply say the things that come into your head. You don't read a script or give a memorized speech. Improvising on your instrument should be like talking in a conversation. So I'll ask you some questions and you'll answer with scale tone 1. For example, I might ask, what is your name? And you'll answer, my name is Joe. So get scale tone 1 ready, and here we go. What is your name? What did you have for breakfast this morning? So do you have any pets? Tell me a little bit about your pets. And what's the best thing you did last summer? So now we'll use scale tone 3 to have a conversation. So now you just have to guess what I'm saying. Here we go. Okay, that gets boring pretty quickly. Let's try having a conversation now with scale tones 1, 2, and 3. Interesting. And this ends improvising pathway 1. Click here to just go re-practice the level 1 jazz patterns, or you can go on to lesson 2.